Thank you. Good afternoon. I know you've been waiting for that delectable starter or the dessert on the plate. If that is on your mind, we will give you some food for thought before you go for food for tummy,
Sure.
right? So I would request everyone to be attentive and trigger your patience mode for another 15, 20 minutes. So the topic is about back office to brain trust, how GCCs can harness sovereign and physical AI. This kind of reminded me 2004, 2005 was the time when I first got exposed to GCC word. And then subsequently I worked for father of Indian BPO industry called Raman. And people used to come and ask him, Raman, what is the magic of GCC? And he used to say, it's your mess for less. And we used to tell Raman saying that while this is a reality, you shouldn't be addressing GCC from a mess for less, right? That's primarily what Raman meant was GCC is an efficiency engine, it's a cost optimization engine, and it's a process optimization engine. From 2005 to now, almost like, 20, 21 years later, when I was looking at the metrics of GCC, there are about 2,100 GCCs in this country, 2.3 million people employed in GCCs, which means if you throw a stone, it might possibly fall on a GCC employee in the society. And it contributes to about $100 billion in terms of GDP. And most important is in terms of it has a market share of 52%. 52% of the world's market share is in GCCs, which makes me wonder that it should get to the next Mann Ki Baat topic very, very soon. Now, in terms of if you take a fast forward lens on that particular GCC, it's no more about labor arbitrage. It is about cognitive arbitrage, and cognitive arbitrage will be powered by AI, and GCCs have an opportunity to become an efficiency engine, data powerhouse, product engineering hub, and so on and so forth. So there are opportunities as well as opportunities for improvement or maybe some deterrence. So without much ado, we will jump into those aspects. One is from a sovereign AI perspective, the second is from a compute perspective, and third is from an unknown lever perspective. So we have very accomplished and an experienced speaker. Bhavesh, thanks for joining us. We will tap into your knowledge as well as wisdom to demystify some of the topics here. So the first one, from a sovereign AI perspective, apart from a regulatory compliance, how do you think sovereign AI can enable GCCs?
Sure. Thanks, Rajesh, and good afternoon to everyone. So let's first look at this word which is just buzzing everywhere, sovereign, right? Somewhere just pre-COVID, post-COVID, everywhere there was this thing which started, which is like data localization. So actually, if you see, it's evolved from that term, and now the word is like sovereign. Now, data localization, when it started, everyone and anyone, if you see in India or everywhere, because of the GDPR and things like that, people thought, oh, I need to have my data local. So everyone started with localization, but then they actually realized, yeah, if I just put my data locally, fine, I need to keep it locally. But there are my systems, my servers, I may use technologies which are global. I may still use softwares which may be global, right? So there are a lot of things, right? So what happened is that data localization, of course, people tried, but it could never succeed to the fullest, right? And that's where slowly it transformed that word of data localization. If you see that definition transformed into sovereign. Now, if you say sovereign, again here, if you see now, what it clearly means is governance. Governance over the software that I use, the technologies that I use. I should be able to govern and control to a large extent. Every time the control may not be possible, but the governance is very important. So if you see now, the most important thing which is going to happen, and why this sovereign AI is a word, right, which is popping up everywhere across globally, also because of the geopolitics going around, is that you need to ensure that you have complete governance and control over what you are doing in the AI world.
Right.
Be it from the data perspective and also from the technologies that you use. So it's no longer that, the good news with this is, of course, you can still use the global technologies and still have something local or hybrid, as far as you can govern and control and as far as the law of the land is applicable. So that's where it is translating into.
Thanks for laying out threadbare to us, Bhavesh. One question though is in terms of as a GCC, I may cater to a US client, I may cater to a UK client, but based out of India. So when I'm at that particular juncture, the question that comes up is whose sovereignty should I adhere to? Is it the US sovereignty, UK sovereignty, or Indian sovereignty? What's your take on that?
Right. So now this also, of course, in the GCC context changes a bit, obviously, because like you rightly said, either he is only catering to the US market, but they are now the innovation hub. Of course, most of the GCCs have transformed from just being cost centers and execution centers, but also into innovation hubs, right? Now, in that also, it'll kind of, like you rightly said, yes, if you are pure US, even sitting out of India, you may still have to comply to the laws. That's where I said the law of the land also matters when you use the word sovereign. But even now, if you see in the AI world, as far as you can govern and you can get everything, okay? In the US also, you will see suddenly all the neo clouds have popped up, right? We have one of them, of course, for India. But at the same time, the hybrid structures are also allowed to a large extent. For example, a GCC, US, but now innovating out of India. Whatever we have seen the use cases, when they are doing out of India, there is possibility to use infrastructure and technology out of India.
Okay.
Okay, or a little bit hybrid, and you can then govern it completely. There is also possibility that while it's a US or Europe, but they are still trying to now enter Indian markets with their kind of stuff. So it's a mixed breed right now. But what you said is right. Many of those sovereign deployments will have to be looked into that way.
Well, that's very interesting to hear. It's not necessary that you need to, tie up only with international hyperscaler to meet the sovereignty aspect. Even they can work with an Indian service provider.
Right. I'll just give an example. For example, right now we are partnered with Microsoft Azure. Now, what are we doing together? Microsoft Azure local. Okay. Now, for India, we are their choice of partner, preferred partner. So what happens is, if you see, of course, and that's where in the beginning I said the sovereign means governance and control over the technology stack as well.
Right.
Now, what Microsoft is doing, if there is, right now I'm talking in the Indian context, for example, Indian context, they need sovereign. Now GPUs, they cannot, let's say customer is not okay to take the GPUs from Microsoft Azure outside any region. So we are working together. As partners, as the ecosystem. You still use the Microsoft Azure services and all the microservices that you want from the Azure platform, but the GPUs that you consume will be from Yotta data center out of India and local.
Understood.
So that's where, if you see now it's changing, right?
Yeah,
and that's where I use the word, the hybrid model will come into picture.
Right. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, you need to still use the global technologies and platforms.
Yeah, the space is fast evolving and the nuances comes from a regulatory compliance perspective. Moving on in terms of, we see a lot of pilots that are happening in GCCs. When I speak to the GCC leaders, they talk about token bloat. They talk about overshooting costs from a compute perspective. From your lens, do you see compute cost as a deterrent, or where are the trends that are heading from a compute cost perspective?
Right. So thanks for bringing this point, Rajesh. See, if you see, 2 years back, I remember attending, it was I think 2023, towards the end of the year, or somewhere, it was a CNBC event in Bangalore, okay? Global Conclave or something, if I'm not wrong. At that time, a question had come to the media from the audience that where are the GPUs, right, in India? And if you see now, just 2 years down the line, completely changed, 2024 to now. Definitely a lot of investments gone across board. Even government has put a lot of emphasis via the India AI mission, right? We are almost 70% supplier for that mission in terms of all the GPUs. Now, coming to the costs, what we have seen and what I think the audience can actually take right now, even locally, okay, is you mentioned, yes, it's a GCC, US, Europe, etc., but they can still consume infrastructure and curtail their cost
Okay.
by creating something which is isolated or air-gapped only for them,
Right.
but still from us locally, which means, yes, it does not still breach your regulation or compliance requirement because whatever you may still want to consume, you can consume over the fly and you can curtail the cost because there is definitely huge difference on the same GPU infra, what you consume from hyperscalers versus what you can get from neo clouds like us in India.
In India. Yeah, I know you're making an indirect pitch.
Sorry.
That's perfectly fine. I do realize in terms of the deficiency of GPUs in the country to the point that the old Bollywood dialogue was rewritten as "Mere paas GPU hai" instead of "Mere paas maa hai."
So
right?
we are saying that for 2 years.
You're saying that for 2 years.
Mere paas GPU hai.
Wonderful, wonderful. So in terms of as AI adoption accelerates, what is that one capability that enterprises are under investing today that will determine AI success in future?
Of course. So when you say one, I'll try to say maybe two.
Okay.
Infrastructure, keeping aside the infrastructure, but you'll see security as the biggest one area because I think in many of the sessions in this morning or even the previous, they were talking about agents and things like that, right? Now, whether you take the inferencing platform or whether you take the agentic platform, if you take agent, at the end of the day, what is an agent? At the end of the day, it is, instead of a human, he is doing the task, right? There is still an identity there, okay? In one of the forum, I kind of put that question back to the audience saying, does agent have an identity? And at the end of the day, yes, because it is touching each of your systems internally, correct? And we have recently seen, just last week, I think, in the media, right, agent can become rogue. So, so security is one, very important, okay? And we are seeing also one more area in terms of infra side, I'm just adding this, on the observability and kind of those aspects, because it's going to be very important to kind of keep your health of your infra up and running. But if you ask me only one out of, but I mentioned you two, so security is one.
Security. So in addition to mere paas GPU hai, mere paas secured GPU. That is what is.
We'll add that word now.
That is what is more important. Wonderful. I think we have a time to take one audience question before we bring back the rapid fire, rapid fire to you, Bhavesh. Any questions from the audience? I know they are all hungry, but एक question तो बनता है. I don't see.
Okay.
I don't see any hands. Probably they will ask you tons of questions. There is one hand up. So the brave guy, please stand up.
So is this not about delivery that AI is about, because it's a recent technology?
Right.
Innovation also needs computation. So where do you guys suggest this computation could be procured for like entrepreneurs especially?
Okay. Of course, sorry, but I'll make
Please
one more
go ahead.
pitch.
Yeah, please, by all means.
So yes, if you are kind of beginning something, or I'll use the word, like you said, entrepreneur or a startup, definitely you can reach out to us. Okay, we have a startup program in India, so it's not that you always have to go to the hyperscalers or the global world. Definitely, and like you rightly said, that's where I think now India is catching the game. So we are innovators, definitely, but we always, as India, we always feel that, oh, there are no resources, but that's not the case now.
Yeah, I will make a pitch because on behalf of Yotta, because the founder of Yotta is my classmate from Columbia Business School. They've also started GPU as a service. There are a lot of startups who are buying GPUs from Yotta and
and we-
offering it to you as a pay-as-you-go so that you don't have to burn too much of capex upfront.
Yeah, and based on, and thanks Rajesh for that. So, and based on your criteria as a startup, of course, we also offer a few credits for you, so you can try it out.
So we have seen the transformative potential of mobile phone, right? When we put the mobile phone in every hand of millennial, we saw what has happened to the digital transformation in the country. Now when it comes to the Gen Z, Alpha, or whatever they are called as, it's not about the mobile phone, it's about putting an agent in the hand of each one of those, and the next level of digital transformation is going to come from that empowerment, where we empower those individuals with an agent, a personalized agent in their hands. And for all of that, compute is a prerequisite. Thank you for asking that question. Moving on to the rapid fire before we close,
Sure.
we have about 90 seconds. This is primarily, Bhavesh, just to lighten up, close with a quick rapid fire round, short answers and first instinct.
Okay?
Okay, so that you don't have time to think. So maybe you should have an H100 with you now, right? So GPU or CPU?
I think both, of course, because
One answer,
CPUs
only
will-
one choice.
No, it's not that, unless of course now a new wafer comes and upar GPU aayega, niche CPU aayega or something like that, I don't know. but you still need both.
You still need both.
Both solve different purposes, but yes, GPU predominantly now in the AI space, but
Right.
you'll still need obviously the CPUs.
So the AI hype cycle, is it overrated or understated?
Again, I would not give a single. I will say short term overrated in certain aspects, long term understated.
Long term, it is understated. That's very good. Yeah.
There's huge scope.
Sure.
Hence, I would use that.
So if you have to make a choice between edge computing or centralized cloud,
You're kind of not giving me a single choice. So again, this is going to be hybrid, to be honest. I'll tell you
going
why.
to be
You just
hybrid.
gave an example of mobile right now, right?
Yeah.
And you said in the hand, right? So if you take even the mobile chip providers, like I was talking to one of our partners, Qualcomm. So if you see, they are the best in those edge space, right? They are talking tomorrow, like you may even run a small model within your mobile.
Right.
So hybrid will be there. You
will
can't
be-
say only edge or only centralized.
okay. Now coming to the favorite science fiction AI prediction that actually came true. I'm sure you've been in this business for long, the compute business for 3 decades. What is that science fiction prediction that came true?
Well, this I learned from my Gen Z team members because nowadays we all have all of them. So one of them, like we were just talking, and that's where I think the conversational AI in the movie, I think her, okay, and it's now becoming reality. Okay, if you see in Japan and everywhere,
Right.
people are actually doing that. And of course, there's one more use case, but maybe a not good use case for the humanity. But yeah, if you see the old ones where we always thought, how can drones go and
Right.
do the like the war kind of scenario? And today it's become unfortunate reality. So that's where I would say.
So my prediction will be pay for GPU with UPI, maybe 1,000 rupees, not more than that.
Sure.
Maybe it may one day, it may come through. Thanks,
Sure.
thanks so much, Bhavesh. And I think if there's one clear takeaway, the next phase of AI will be defined less by hype and more by fundamentals.
Sure.
Trust, control, economics, and capability. And those are the things that the GCC leaders need to tap so that you can move away from labor arbitrage to cognitive arbitrage. Thank you,
I would
everyone.
just like
You
to
have
end on one last
word
thing.
to- yeah,
Yes.
sure.
So I think one good thing about India, and I think all the audience here as well, I would just use the word, the best part for India is the HI, which is not only feeding the AI, but also for the consuming the AI. I think the Indian HI is the best, which is the Indian human intelligence. So
Absolutely.
the best thing is like we are, even for the AI to run, we need to feed it first. And the best thing is Indians are also good in consuming it as well.
Absolutely. I'm yet to see any AI model that can beat Indian Jugaad. Indian Jugaad will always win. With that note, I know you guys are thinking a lot about the starter or the dessert. We'll give you the time to enjoy those now. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.